Jermal, good to have you here. What are you looking for this afternoon? Is it Tesla that's, of course, the talk of the town, as always?
Yeah, I mean, we got some power hitters coming up, right? I mean, let's just level set here. I mean, this is a crazy time we got going on in the markets. I think you had Henry Schwartz on a couple of weeks ago, who's a newer member of SIBO via Trade Alert, and we've seen record volumes almost, or looking towards that way anyway. I mean, we're tracking 30% higher for equity options volume than what we saw in all-time highs in 2018. Look what's going on with VIX right now. We had VIX close below 25 just yesterday. The last time we had that was June 5th, which was around the time period of the non-farm payroll report. And prior to that, we hadn't had that since February 21st, which is around the time of pre-pandemic. So equity volatility is coming in meaningfully right now from what we're seeing overall. And for the most part, what we're seeing in the VIX is somewhat bearish trades, meaning bearish for VIX options, bearish for VIX option trades, bullish for equity options for the most part, or equities, I should say. I mean, we're seeing a lot of short delta type of VIX trades. For example, earlier this week on Monday, we saw two big trades where they basically purchased two put one by twos in the August options, where they sold one nearby puts and then they bought further downside puts two times, so that they'll capitalize with VIX August futures moving towards the downside, moving below 25 or 23 in certain cases.
What kind of strikes?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time overall.
Are they looking for, like, what, not single-digit VIX anytime soon, right? What kind of strikes are these trades looking at, Jermal?
Yeah, I don't think they're getting too carried away quite yet, but they're looking for VIX in the lower 20s, it seems like. And the way things are moving right now, it doesn't seem unreasonable, but like you said, as far as what's going on, the overall narrative, that's an interesting trade given the overall narrative what we have right now. I mean, overall, we have, when you see initial jobless claims every Thursday, we have those numbers remain in the millions, 1.3 million last week. It's only 10,000 lighter than the week before, so it figures like unemployment is equaling out. We do have this discussion with Congress starting up for a potential new stimulus. Probably that's going to go down to the wire because it always seems to do that. So there's still some risk out there, but overall, I think traders are starting to price in this situation where equity volatility is coming in, as we've seen. 10-day realized volatility in the SPX is in the teens, 15. 30-day realized volatility is around the 25 level. So it would seem that traders go along with the trend most often than not, and the trend right now seems to be lower vol.
Jermal, one of the things we've been watching is this potential rotation out of tech and into some of the other unloved areas of the market, namely small caps. And I've been looking at the spread between the indexes and kind of the relative strength stuff, but actually, if you look at the volatility gauges, it's way more obvious the craziness that's happening under here. If we look at the spread between VXN, the NASDAQ VIX, and then the RVX, the Russell VIX, it's just total chop after it got to extreme levels with the NASDAQ running away with it. So what do you make of this right now? Are there opportunities here within volatility? Does it look convincing, like there actually is a regime change at hand?
Yeah, it's, I mean, we've seen tech move the way that it has, and it's been so strong over these last couple of months for good reason. As far as the small caps, that's an interesting narrative overall. I mean, the idea that small caps sort of mimic what's going on with small businesses in the US, those are the ones that are struggling. I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing that small cap volatility elevated. So that spread seems to, it makes sense. It's out of line, but it's out of line for a reason. And overall, I think you have to sort of play these tech names in the way that you possibly can, as we're going to talk about a little bit with the earnings. But the volatility seems to be correctly priced. It's hard to say it's not.
Yeah. When we look at the stocks this afternoon, what looks the wildest? Tesla in terms of implied options moves? I'm assuming that the range is huge based on the trading in derivatives.
Yeah, so Tesla is looking about to be about a 13% move, I think, 13.5% move. The electric vehicle adoption seems to be happening. I mean, there's a lot of other names to play in that space as well. You have a couple of smaller names with Electromechanica, ticker Solo, a Canadian electric vehicle producer. You have Nikola, of course, which took a hit more recently. You have K&DI, Candy Technologies. So there's other ways to play the space as well. But Tesla's looking about a 13.5% move. And one of the more interesting trades I saw today was a seller of the July 24th expiration 1500 1480 put spread for, I believe it was $7.42. So they're taking in some pretty decent premium there. And in that case, what they want is for the stock to close at expiration above 15. So that way they get to keep all the premium. The break even on the trade is 1492.58 to the downside. And below that, it loses money. So they're looking for Tesla to continue to go up. We've seen some activity in Tesla as far as the 2,000 calls are trading, the 2,500 calls are active, and the 3,500 calls are active. I mean, my God, like, it's really interesting there.
That's
so
Tesla.
Let's see how that plays out.
Classic here ahead of Elon's big show, and he hasn't been shy of tweeting and talking in the public sphere lately. So obviously the bulls are reading that end to this 13% swing going to the upside. The other ones that we're going to be watching, Chipotle has almost been as impressive given that it is a food stock and is trading like all the other cloud names and exciting companies in tech. So for options there, should we expect also an uncharacteristically big move for a restaurant?
Yeah, I mean, Chipotle is one of those where what they've done is really taken to this current environment with their digital sales. And so the Chipotlanes that they've instituted, which is kind of helping along the lines of contactless delivery, right? You go in and you receive your food that way. And so with their digital app, I believe it's one of the most popular on the App Store. That's for those of you who read Barron's, you see that in Steve Sears' article this past week. But it's really interesting to see what they've been doing overall, and you wonder how many other restaurants are going to follow along. So with Chipotle, one of the more interesting trades that I saw was a buyer of the 1230 1300 call spread. They bought it for 1390, so their break even there is 1243.90. And to the upside, of course. And so they're playing it, straight up to the upside for a move. But I think the overall move that we're looking for in Chipotle sits around the 6% level. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. A lot of people have been bullish on it, and we'll see what it does.